Huawei launches first smartphone with its own AI chip to challenge Apple's iPhone X. Huawei launched a new flagship smartphone Monday, the first to contain its own artificial intelligence (AI) chip that could help it compete with Apple and Samsung. The Huawei Mate 10 series of high-end devices includes the Mate 10, Mate 10 Pro and Special Edition Porsche Design Mate 10. Key features include 5.9-inch display on Mate 10 and 6-inch screen on Mate 10 Pro. Liquid dual-lens camera with color and monochrome sensors. Big battery with fast charging capabilities. Google's latest Android 8.0 operating system. But the top feature Huawei showed off at its launch event in Munich, Germany, is the Kirin 970. The company's dedicated AI chipset in the phone. Huawei launched the Kirin 970 earlier this year, but the Mate 10 series are the first devices to contain the chip. The chip is the size of a thumbnail and supports on-device AI. That means the AI functions are processed on the smartphone rather than in the cloud, which could speed up processes. In a demonstration, Huawei showed how its AI could recognize an object that someone wanted to take a picture of and automatically adjust aspects like lighting. This would take a professional a longer time to do, it said. And the Chinese company claims that its AI can recognize 2005 images per minute. It said that its Mate 10 series features the first smartphones to offer download speeds of 1.2 gigabits per second. Of course, this relies on a mobile network offering such speeds. Huawei has announced the Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro, two new phones that occupy the highest end of its lineup. The Mate 10 phones see the Chinese giant get on board with a skinny bezel trend of 2017 while leveraging its ability in silicon design to supposedly improve AI-related performance. The main difference between the two phones is in screen size and shape. The Mate 10 features a 5.9-inch 2560 by 1440 LCD while the Mate 10 Pro's display is a 6-inch 2160 by 1080 OLED. Both have thin, symmetrical bezels at the top and bottom. The Pro feels like the smaller phone, however, due to the narrower 18:9 aspect ratio it shares with many of this year's similarly sized bezel-less phones. The regular Mate 10's sharper 16:9 screen makes for an unusually proportioned device, albeit one that'll probably work well for YouTube and other casual video watching. It feels very wide in the hand, but the combination of a huge, standard aspect ratio screen with slim bezels lends a distinctive heft. Both phones feature glossy glass construction and come in mocha brown or pink gold, with additional black and gold finishes for the Mate 10 and blue and grey colorways for the Pro. There's also a Porsche Design Special Edition Mate 10 Pro with a diamond black finish. The Mate 10 is 8.2 mm thick and has a fingerprint sensor below the screen. The Pro is 7.9 mm and has its fingerprint sensor around the back. The Pro features IP67 waterproofing and an ear blaster, while the Mate 10 gets a headphone jack and a microSD card slot in return. Beyond external differences, both phones are similarly spec'd. They each feature a Kirin 970 CPU, 4 GB of RAM, a 4,000 mAh battery, 64 GB of storage, and dual cameras with f/1.6 lenses. That camera setup includes a 20-megapixel color sensor and a secondary 12-megapixel monochrome sensor designed to gather additional luminance information and detail. As with the P10 and other recent Huawei flagships, the Pro has an additional variant with 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, while the Porsche design model comes with 6 GB of RAM and ups the storage to 256 GB. Both phones use USB-C, as you'd expect, and Huawei has developed a desktop docking solution that's similar in concept to Samsung's DeX, which in turn is similar in concept to Windows Continuum and the Motorola Trix and a lot of other things that didn't work out. Huawei's Spin doesn't require a dock, however. You can plug your phone directly into a monitor with a cable and expect to get around 3 hours of use in the desktop environment, which features resizable windows and Office support. The system allows you to use your phone as normal while it's powering the larger monitor, and there are privacy controls that allow you to stop notifications from popping up. But the biggest differentiator for Huawei this year is the Kirin 970 chip, developed in-house at the company's high-silicon semiconductor ARM. The Kirin 970 includes what Huawei is calling an NPU, or Neural Processing Unit, which is designed to handle tasks related to AI and deep learning. Apple announced much the same with the iPhone 8 and X's A11 Bionic chip, which includes a neural engine. But Huawei is leaning harder into making the Kirin 970's NPU a core feature of the device. One of the biggest claims is that Huawei's AI processing will be able to significantly reduce the phone's performance degradation over time, which the company has identified as a major problem with Android devices in general. The Mate 10 uses on-device processing to build a model of how you use the phone and allocates resources accordingly, with machine learning predicting user behavior. And while Apple's lead in raw CPU processing speed is seemingly unassailable in the mobile space, Huawei believes it will be able to outstrip the newer phones when it comes to on-device deep learning tasks such as image recognition. It's hard to judge any of this without having the phone in hand. In fact, it'll be hard to judge much of it without having used the phone for several months. But it's clear that dedicated AI hardware is going to have its uses, and Huawei is demonstrating a significant advantage by managing to spin up its own take on the idea before the likes of Qualcomm. Huawei's last flagship, the P10, came with some disappointing quirks, and the company's claims about the Mate 10 require that we reserve judgment even further. On paper, though, Huawei's latest are intriguing devices that carry a lot of potential. Huawei has set European pricing at €699, $824, for the Mate 10, €799, $942, for the Mate 10 Pro, and a staggering yet unsurprising $1,395, $1,645, for the Porsche design Mate 10 Pro. The release date hasn't been announced yet, nor have any plans for a US launch.